Hello and good evening. And to the strains of Pan in A minor as composed by the Lord Kitchener, the band Solo Harmonites played in 1980-something, and they were playing on Pan's tune by Herman Guppy Brown, our guest tonight. This is a special issue of Calypso Showcase that we're giving you tonight in honor of Pan Week. You'll remember it's just a year ago that our Prime Minister announced that Pan was the national instrument of Trinidad and Tobago. And you know, when you hear names like Leo Coker, you hear names like Bertrand Kellman, and you hear names like Ellie Manet and so on, you know that you're talking about tuners in this land, and heard many tuners. All of the pans that you heard by Solo Harmonites were tuned by him, and in fact he has tuned for many steel bands. Perhaps you can give us an idea of some of the pans that you have tuned for.
Well, good night to all viewers. It's a pleasure being on Calypso Showcase tonight. And I'll start with like Phase 2 is one of the bands, Exodus, Calypso, and of course Solo Harmonites, Pandemonium, Silver Stars. I'll go over like to Tobago, Mellow Harps, Tiantec East Side Original Symphony, and we have a couple around the neck like Panjamas, Worldwide, Skiffle Bunch, but they now a conventional band, and we have Shades in Steel, Pashphonics. It's too many to mention tonight. It's a lot of bands.
Yes, and tell me something. Do you concentrate on one range of pan, like just tenors, or do you make all
types? All
you tune
types.
All
any type of pan.
And what about foreigners? Do you get any requests from people outside of Trinidad and Tobago?
A lot, too many. Can't even rest.
Where are some of the places you get calls from?
England, Canada, Switzerland. Even we did some pan for Poland, some people in Poland. We did pan for Australia some years ago. And almost the entire Caribbean.
Pan to the outside world?
I don't, not at all. I think what happened is the pan is picking up very fast outside. It is unbelievable at this time, the rate the steel pan is picking up outside. And, but losing pan, I don't think so.
After this morning, we heard that there are some people in Japan manufacturing pans in some industrial process. What's the story on that?
Yes, my friend Bertrand Kellman, he called me and told me, and he was inquiring about how I'm making out with the steel drums. And then he went on to told me that in Japan they are making the steel pan with machines, but they cannot get the sound. He said, that is a problem. I don't know if later on they will pick up the technique, but at present they cannot get the pan to sound at all. Very little sound.
Well, viewers, what we want to do tonight is to give you a sort of insight into how pan is manufactured. Very appropriate that we should be looking at that at the end of this first year of our pan life in terms of it being the new national instrument. So we're going to look at how pan is manufactured, and then we're going to look specifically at its tuning. We take a commercial break, and when we come back, we look at a prepared video cast.
Hail, 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 Mr. Panmaker. I hereby appoint you as steel band savior. Don't you know the whole future of the steel pan? Yes, it lies in you, the pan maker hand. Oh, overbuild the steel pan industry. So standardization is a must, you would agree. Look, the secret of making steel pan is you alone must know, and you must carry that with you anywhere you go. Now, yeah, what you must know, how many grams of steel it gon' take to make a bass pan? Or what is the degree of heat you need to burn a yellow pan? Or what is this low Peter high double tenor? These are the facts that you must have under lock and cover. So let them vibrate, keep that drum. Let them rent the skill of the man. What wrap up inside of your hand go be the secret of making pan.
From since 1976, this open-air facility, which is famous for its large mosquitoes, has home base for Herman Guppy Brown, where he manufactured and tuned his pans. Up to about 3 months ago, before he moved over to his new facility, which is not yet complete, and which before the end of the year he hopes to have fully functional. The manufacture of pan. Looking at many steel bands over the years and watching their banners, I've seen the name Herman Guppy or Herman Guppy Brown banners. What's the real name?
The real name is Herman Guppy. And Brown, I used to call it Brown, but now it comes as a nickname due to problems with mother and father and so on. And the Brown is really a nickname, but I still answer when they call me Herman Brown, so, you know. In terms of tuning, I started around 1964, 65. So a guy they call Lennox Glean from Invaders. He had some work to do and he asked me to, while he is at work, if I could sing the drums for him, and I tell him, I don't know anything about it, and I was scared. And he told me, do it anyhow you could. When I come from work, I will fix it up. And so I got started and never looked back. And I get help from other people like Winston Spree and Bertie Marshall, Lincoln Noel, and Bob from the Blue Ivan Steel Band. I don't know his right name. And just keep going.
Let's start by talking about some of your earliest associations with this instrument, pan, as a kid. When were you first attracted to the instrument?
Well, my bigger brother, or my elder brother, he's dead now. He brought us tenor pan home from a steel band they call Playboys. And I just went playing around with the pan and find myself playing a little piece of tune by accident. And I tried now to get the whole tune, and I did get out the whole tune, and I just get hooked on the pan immediately. And well, we had a little band in the next door yard because I wasn't allowed to have the band in my, didn't like it at all. And we had was single band in those days, single tenor.
What year are we talking about, sir?
Way back, well, like May time, or earlier than that, because I remember May was one of the tunes we used to play on the band.
Late 50s, early 60s.
Well, I was around 9 years old at the time, 10 years somewhere, so that is about 58, late 50s. Yeah. And we had the band and everything was going smooth, but my father realized that I was really hooked on it, that from the time I left school in the evening, I just threw the books down straight over in the yard, steel band, and he clamped down on me. And after several punishment, I didn't stop and I kept going, and we ended up having a band right in our yard. And I was an arranger now, and other brothers and sisters, and we could be just like the Samaros, because
Kenneth Guppy is your brother?
Yeah. We have Kenneth Guppy, Anthony Guppy, he was in Pan Ramage. Clinton Guppy, he not affiliated with any steel band, but he played with Tokyo and Solo Harmonites. And we have a lot of other nephews and nieces who play the pan. And I think everybody knows I am making a living off it, and even my brothers too. And it all started really from my elder brother. But after he passed away, I never looked back and kept pushing it, and the whole family is pan.
After your first introduction to the process of manufacturing or tuning a pan, when did you sort of decide to get more involved and to launch out into some sort of a career in pan tuning?
Well, I didn't really plan to. I didn't like it, had a band and I wanted to just tune for my band. But then after, people keep telling me, boy, you're doing a good work. They want a pan, they want this, they want a double tenor, they want a second. And then I realized, well, then look, I could get into it, and it's amazing how it end up now. I cannot handle the amount of work at all, night and day, Sunday to Sunday.
The manufacture and the tuning of pan is a mystery. And the people who are associated with it, they have some magical powers. There are some gifted people who just have a talent. How did you discover that you had this talent?
Well, just as I said, like when I was tuning a couple of pans and things, and people, everybody seemed to like the pan. You know, the amount that liked my pan was in the majority. A couple of people who criticized and so on. And I wasn't concerned about who criticized. I was concerned about the amount of people who was just encouraging me to keep going. And I realized, well, I had, if so many people could be pleased, and I had something, a gift from God, you know, and I just keep going. And as a matter of fact, right now, everybody that I make a pan for, nobody complains, everybody pleased. And it's spreading. We almost phone calls from abroad, and some of the people I don't even know them. I get order, make the pan, ship it up, they send the money, and I never see them in person.
Let's start from the raw material, the drum. Tell us what are some of the options in terms of availability of drums today?
Yeah, that is a major, it's almost reaching a crisis stage right now, because our main supplier, which is a Van company, they has closed down a couple of months ago, and it's all used up, and everybody now, each band tuner is just looking all over the place for drums, and most of the drums we get now is from like factories that had liquid in it, and these drums are all banged up and so on. And if you're doing a work and you want it to look proper, I mean, you need nice finished drums and so on, and this is a major problem right now. Myself, I had was to import a couple of drums from Venezuela as to help out the situation, because still in making a certain type of pans for some months. But those drums are all used out, so we're trying to get some more. And all the tuners in the country having a major problem with drums right now.
What do you look for in a good drum?
First thing, it must be of, I think, it must be of 18 gauge on the face. And it have other things like it must not have too much carbon mixture in the steel, so that you'll get a lot of resonance in the, you know, what we will call ring, you know, a lot of vibration. And we need to get to one standard material, because like these people, they make drums, but every time, you know, the mixture is changed, so you as a tuner have to keep trying to adjust as to how much fire and different techniques in the tuning. So you're always sort of fishing to find out what this material is, what type of steel and stuff, so you could make a good pan. So a batch of drums, the first one always a problem. The first pan you're making always a problem. That one, there's sort of feeling it out as to the fire and what to do, how to handle this material.
How many grams of steel it could take to make one bass pan? Or what is the degree of heat you need to burn a cello pan? Or what is the size of the rubber to beat a high single tenor? These are the facts that we must have. Look, and let's keep that drum. Let them tiff the skill of the man. But rump up inside of your hand go be the secret of making fun. Oh!
Having got the basic drum, what's the first you take in terms of preparing to make up an instrument?
You center the pan, as getting the center of the drum on top of the face, and depend on what type of pan you're making. If it's a bass pan, then you put down your notes early o'clock, which is drawing out the notes. And the other pans, well, you go down to a certain depth, depending on the type of pan. And then, like a tenor pan, you could go right down, full depth, without any marking, more on the center. And a couple of lines as to guide you so that each right wrong will have the same, what you would call the same sort of a shape, and not one side more bashed in or sunk in than the other side. Sort of a balancing the pan, which is that help in the tuning.
The depth that you talk about, is it by guess or do you set your work with?
Fixed depth, and even the amount that you set the pan back, all that is fixed. We have measurements, we have templates, and we don't work by guess at all. Everybody had to follow the instructions that I would like, so that when I sit down to tune the pan, I could expect that it will. You do get trouble with some of the notes, but basically it comes out good. And that's one thing. Your pan sort of look uniform. When you watch all the double tenors about the same thing, even the cutting of the pans and thing. We have one. Everybody, some tuners have different. One might cut let me say the tenor 6 inches, 5 inches, 7 inches, but we have 6 inches for our tenor, 7 for the double tenor, and so on. And we maintain that all the time, unless somebody comes and requests a certain length for the skirt of the pan, then we'll facilitate that person.
Having centered the pan, what's the next step?
Well, you have some lines that you put down. I don't know if like a sort of something like an X, and then you go down, and after about 6.5 inches, you make a 6-inch line from the top, right here. This is where you have the lower notes. So you mark off that area, and then this from here down is where you have the inner notes, and you stop working out here now, and you work only inside. That is tightening up and so on, and making room for the inner notes. This is a 4th and 5th low tenor on display here.
Let's talk about that syncing process, because I think that is one of the critical areas in terms of whether your pan is how fast, how efficiently you sync that pan. What does it involve?
Well, the syncing, some people has claimed that they could sync a pan in an hour, but I think it's best to sort of pet the material and go gradually, and even though it takes 5 hours to sync it, I think it does a better job if you take it gradually than try to push the material too fast. What happens is when you try to push the material, and most of all, the pans end up slack, very slack. And when it's too slack, you don't get your notes to sing out properly. And then your pan now will start, your lifespan is cut. Once you have problems with syncing, is the basic structure, the foundation of your instrument. And once that have a lot of faults, don't give you as much service as you would like.
And this is a cold syncing process?
Yeah, cold syncing, no heat. All the work on the pan is done cold until you finish, you cut the pan, then you heat it, and then you start tuning. Everything is done cold, no heat whatsoever. But we sometimes sync the pan in the sun for it to go a little faster, but we don't finish it in the sun. Mm-hmm. Tell people to move a little faster, but you have to be careful that it could fool you too. When you think the pan is tightening up, it's still slack. So you must do that finishing at least the last 2 inches of your work in cool weather, so that you'll feel, the hammer bouncing on the metal. There's some of the little tricks in it.
Once you've sung the pan to the required depth and you have marked out your notes, what's the next process?
I think the next notes is a thing they call hammer grooving. This is making inch, like where you mark your note, right away round, in the sides and in the front. And then after, when that is completed, you Then you take your, what is supposed to be a nail punch, that is cut. The pointed area is cut off and sort of a blunt slide, and you start to groove your pan. And then after the grooving, then you have to come and tighten up, beat out the same grooving. And then after you tighten up and you beat out the grooving and so on, then you cut to your required length of the skirt. And some people back out the notes, and some before heating, and some burn the pan just like that, and then back out the notes. But all in all, basically it's the same thing, but just some people have different technique in hand.
Is there any magic in the length of the skirt, depending on the pan that you are manufacturing?
Yes, that is what controls this. Because could you imagine you're cutting a tenor pan long like a bass? The notes on the pan weren't able to vibrate that rim at all, that skirt. For instance, we have the 6 bass, which is the full length of the entire drum. And there's the 6 bass, the 7 bass, the 9 bass. And long ago we had the 5 bass, which is not existing anymore. And without that barrel, you wouldn't get that boom, that deep. And after that, we have like the
tenor bass.
Yeah, the tenor bass.
That's the first pan that you would cut.
Yeah, which there's various lengths on that. I cut off about 12 inches off of the entire drum. That is my size. Some other tuners cut shorter, and that helped with the song of the tenor bass, which really have higher notes than the 6 bass, the 9 bass, or the 7 bass, which is what you really call the low bass. So you have the low bass, the tenor bass, and now if you go to cut too short, you'll be in problems, and too long, the note won't able to vibrate the skirt of the drum. So this is the reason for cutting. These notes must be able to vibrate the skirt, and this is how you get your note to come out very nice, clean, and powerful.
What's the next pan after that?
Then you have the 6 pan, which I don't have on display here. It's more like a one tenor bass, a combination of both. And then you have the 4 pan cello,
which is the one next to your tenor bass. Yes.
On chrome, that is about 21 inches in length. And again, the skirt is about 6 inches less than the tenor bass, and that is to help with the song as usual. Then
next to that,
you have the guitar pan. They have 2 types and the double guitar. What you're seeing on display here is one side of a pair of double guitars that is 16.5 inches in length on the skirt, and that skirt helps with the correct sound of the pan as to give you a nice song and balance and everything. Then after the guitar, you have the one side of a pair of double seconds, 1.5 inches in length, and that is because you're going very high now. You have from like some of the notes on the guitar pan, and you're going into double tenor and tenor way up. So you need to cut much shorter. This is about 6.
Have you experimented with various lengths, say between 10.5 and 12, until you found exactly the length you're looking for?
No, yes, but the length I really like for a second pan is 11 inches. But remember, the drums we had was to cut like 10.5 or 10 inches because of the sort of a rib you have on the drum that if you go to cut 11 inches, you'll be going over that rib. So we have to cut below it to get a smoothness right through on the skirt.
After that, we have double tenors?
Yes, we have the double tenors, which is 7 inches, 8 inches in length between there. And to carry the song again, the double tenor is a brighter pan than the second pan, but it's about the same amount of notes and the same range as the second, double second. Then after the double tenor, we have the single low tenor.
You have low and high in tenors, yes.
The single low tenor, which is 7 inches in length on the skirt, and this goes down to the high tenor. This is why they call it a low tenor. And the lower notes on that low tenor really make it sound different from the high tenor. Just by including those two extra notes, the entire pan, the song of that pan is changed. I can't explain really that part of it. Up to now, I don't understand why two notes could change the entire song of a pan.
So just two additional notes in a high tenor.
From a high
a low tenor to a high tenor.
Yeah, and the entire song. Then we have the high tenor, which
is it the same length skirting?
No, 6 inches in length. Some people cut it 5, and it is again there's a difference now. You find it is more bright, loud, and it have a sweeter song than the low tenor, but it just don't have the range as the low.
Where would a set of quadraphonic pans, quads as we call them, fall in this range?
The quads or the quadraphonics between the second pan and like the guitar or the treble guitar. There is 4 pans with a deep range as low as some of the notes on the cello, the guitar, and goes as high as the tenor pan. And it's a very valuable pan in any band. In terms of
the length of the skirt, how long is it?
It's just about the double second. Same length and skirt as the double second. But there's a wide range in playing. You reach as high as the B on a tenor pan and as low as the B on a cello pan or a bass, for that matter.
Let's talk about the burning process. And again, it seems to be so uncontrolled to us looking on. Yeah. But tell us some of the tricks of the trade when it comes to burning a pan.
If you make a pan with the best drum, and you have the best sinker, and the best person groove in the pan, and you give it the wrong type of heating, you're in a lot of trouble. The heating, I think, is one of the most important, if not the most important thing in what comes out of your pan. After you do all the others good, if you do anything wrong with the heating, you're into a lot of trouble. And the heating now is a problem because you don't have a regulated fire when you use wood. Some wood intends to give more heat. And the type of steel you use, some requires less heat and some requires more. So the heating is a sort of I will call it a kind of gamble if you don't have the experience. For instance, there's only 2 people in all the guys who work here that do burning. That is myself and another guy that they call Reginald. The only 2. The others, they don't have that technique. And we could lose the drum, the labor, everything just go down the drain if you burn wrong. If you burn too little, the pan give a lot of trouble to tune. You could go and reheat it, but if you burn too much, that's it.
The pan is lost.
Over. Yeah, the pan is lost.
What are some of the telltale signs for you to know that you have burned the pan enough?
I watch under the pan, what we might call the belly of the pan, when I burning. I watch that and I get an idea, and then I also watch the out of the pan. You know, you get a change in the color, the metal, but it get lighter. But it mustn't get, it mustn't reach too far, like about 1.5 inches from the edge. You're able to, I get my knowledge from that, by my timing from that. But you cannot time a pan like 10, 15 minutes, not until we get one type of steel and one fire what you can regulate. Then you could time a pan, say 5, 6, 7 minutes. The present time, I don't think it's possible to time a pan.
What is the real purpose of heating the pan?
It tempers back the steel. It makes the steel get back that body. Now, after the constant hammering, the metal gets soft, very soft. And you could tune the pan without fire. But while you're playing, the notes keep going out of tune. You know, the bass pan is the only pan that sort of keeps the tuning without fire. But the others, they keep, and you don't get the ring. You know, it's sort of a muffled song. So the fire, this is why I don't think it have a tuner who do not burn his pan, because it is essential. You cannot get a good product without the fire.
After the burning comes what?
After burning, the first stage in tuning is sort of it's not a nice song. You have to have a lot of patience and everything will fall in place as you go along. Cannot get a note to tune properly immediately. What happens sometimes you're working on G sharp as the first note you start tuning, and G sharp sort of takes the song of all the dead song around on the other note, so you wouldn't get this note to come out bright as well. Now you might get this halfway tune and without interfering with this note again, when you walk away around here and you come back and just hit that note, it's sounding plenty better and you didn't touch it because you free up the other notes. So it helps with this one, the G sharp, the first note. Cannot start a note and bring it up to correct song and vibration, pitch and everything immediately. You sort of have to do all the notes to a point, let's say tune them 25% to what you want, and you do all the notes like that. The rungs, bring them up some more, and then the final rungs, send it to chrome, and then you do your final tuning. And when it comes from the chrome shop, then I will use the big stroke to complete the tuning process.
You mentioned chroming.
Yeah.
How important is chroming to a pan?
Very important. And I wish that if it wasn't so expensive that the steel bands could chrome every single pan.
Including the base?
Including the base.
You told me a story the other day, old pans that you were almost ready to throw away.
Yes, that was Pandemonium Steel Orchestra. They had a 3-pan, some people call it a cello, some call it a treble guitar. And I didn't like the song of it. That was in 84, somewhere around there. And I told the guy, as the captain of the band, I told him these bands weren't changing. The band was getting ready to go Denmark. And I tell them, don't go Denmark. And they didn't listen to me. They went and they chromed the pans. They say they're going to keep the pants and they're going to chrome it and say they're going to waste money, man. And they chromed the pants, and when the pants came back, I was totally amazed with the song I get after chroming. I couldn't believe it. I realized then how much chrome does do for the steel instrument, steel pan instrument.
What are some of the advantages of chroming beside the tonal quality?
Well, you spend a lot of money in the first instance, but you save because you don't have to paint, you don't have to be studying sandpapering and rubbing down the pan. When you do that, you have to call the tuner again to retune the pan. Then the metal start getting too much hammering, and the metal gets fatigued, and then the quality and so on start, the lifespan doesn't end up getting cut short by a number of years. When you chrome, your silver, your polish, whatever, and you shine your pan, and the notes stay in tune. So you find you don't have to call the tuner because the nose is in tune. You don't have to paint, and your pan is sounding better, and it lasts longer because not much hammering is done to the metal. So in the long run, you save a lot. With care, I think a chrome pan should be able to give you over 10 years. I know somebody who I made a tenor pan for him in 1972, and he still has it. And we're in 93. Yeah.
To the layman watching a tuner at work, it just looks like he's hitting notes and getting melodies out of it. What little magical touches there to get these different pitches on the pan?
It has certain areas in the metal that you have to, in the note area that is marked off and groove that you have to hit. And you keep songing the area with your stick and try to find out like which area in the that is marked off that is causing the distortion and holding the note from coming out clean and clear, loud. And then you have to know the amount of pressure to put with your hammer. Sometimes you have to strike and sort of a push, very light or very heavy. And that goes with the experience, the amount of years involved, every technique as to tuning. But basically, certain things you have to do. You must feel the note, sort of taking the stick and hitting around the note, and you'll find out, well, all right, the octave is flat or sharp, the note is there, and you have to they have to come together like the harmonics, the octave, and the note itself, the basic note. And you only could find that by feeling and listening. So your hand's supposed to be very light, because sometimes what it takes to bring a note is unbelievable. Very, very, very light, and if you go too heavy, you will pass what you're looking for and you won't even know, and you pass it by miles.
Any words to the entire pan fraternity?
Keep and all the pan tuners who the apprentices and so on who is learning to tune, always remember quality. Let quality be our main goal.
Hail, 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 Mr. Pan Maker. Now is the time you must get together and decide on which styling you're using, so we could start right away on standardizing, because you can't keep on arguing forever on which styling that you have today better, because the most important duty today you have on hand is to try and keep steel pan for Trinidad. So you just find out how many grams of steel is going to take to make one bass pan, or what is the degree of heat you need to burn a cello pan, or what is the size of the rubber to beat a high double tenor. These are the facts that we must. So let them pirates give the drum, let them rent the skill of the man, but drop up inside of your hand go be what?